Hey, what's good? This is Black Authentic Truth, and this is an excerpt from The Eyes on the Prize. I recently talked about that in the last video, and this is covering the Emmett Till trial. So I'm going to warn you, there are some parts in here that are graphic, and let's get started. I hope you watch this with me. All right, so we're going to get started.
I know the one thing we did right was the day we started to fight. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on.
Emmett Till, 1955.
On August 21st, 1955, two teenagers from Chicago boarded a train and traveled south to visit family in Mississippi.
Now, Emmett Till, he left Chicago with his cousin to visit the South.
What was going on there to pick some kiting, because I never picked any kiting before, and I was looking forward to do that because I had told my mother that I could pick 200 pounds, and she told me I could, So we was going on there to look for a good time.
That's just like a kid. He said he told his mama he never picked cotton before, but he could pick 200 pounds if he got the opportunity. And that's coming from the city, which, you know, was far different than the South.
For more than a year, racial tensions in the South had been higher than usual, since the Supreme Court ruled in Brown versus Board of Education that segregated schools were unconstitutional. The decision touched a raw nerve in the white South, and many organized to preserve white supremacy. For years, groups like the Ku Klux Klan practiced terrorism. Despite national black protests, public murders of blacks were common, and the mobs who committed them went unpunished. In the previous
You see how they used to do our brothers? You see how they used to do our brothers? This is two brothers right here. I believe their names was Richardson, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to mess it up, but a lot of these are documented. A lot of these are documented in the book Without Sanctuary.
More than 500 documented lynchings in Mississippi alone.
1 second, let me get this one. So, let me put this up right here. Am I getting it in the camera? Get the camera to focus. So, this is Without Sanctuary. A lot of our brothers is documented in that book.
Coming from Chicago, Curtis Jones and his cousin Emmett Till had little sense of the world they were entering when they arrived in Money, Mississippi.
Emmett Till was, at the time, he was 14 years old, had just graduated out of grammar school. She had some picture of some white kids that he had graduated from. That was, female and male. So he told the boys down there, hey, you got around the store? So it must have been around about maybe 10 to 12, youngsters around there. That the girls was his girlfriend, So one of the local boys said, hey, there's a girl in that store there, so I bet you want to go in there and talk to her,
So Emmett Till had a picture from his graduation. He just graduated middle school, grammar school, and it was boys and girls in the picture, and he told the boys down there that the white girls in there were his girlfriends. So one of the boys said, hey, it's a white girl in that store. Won't you go talk to her?
He went in there to get some candy. So when he was leaving out the store, after buying the candy, he told us, say, bye, baby. And the next thing I knew, one of the boys came up to me and say, man, you got a crazy cousin. He just went in there and said bye to that white woman.
Now, he said, you got a crazy cousin. Now, remember, Emmett Till was a child, but, it was taboo for a black man to even talk to a white woman or look black people in the eye in some of those parts. And, to even act like you're a human being, or even act like we're all human, and act like, you know, you could talk to anyone. That was taboo. That was almost like a death sentence, if not a death sentence. And I just want to say, I'm not blaming Emmett Till or nothing like that. He doing what kids do. You know what I mean?
And that's when this man I was playing checker with, this older man, I guess he must have been around about 60 or 70. He jumped straight up and said, boy, say, y'all better get out of here. Say, that lady come out of that store and blow y'all brains out.
This is Mose Wright. I am the uncle of Emmett Louis Till.
This is his uncle.
Sunday morning, about 2:30, someone called at the door. And I said, who is it? And he said, this is Mr. Brian. I want to talk with you and the boy. And when I opened the door, there was a man standing with a pistol in one hand and a flashlight in the other hand. And he asked me, did I have two boys there from Chicago? I told him I have. And he said, I want the boy that done all that talk. They marched him to the car, and they asked someone there, was this is the right boy? And the answer was, here. And they drove toward money.
So they came to the house at that same night, and they asked for Emmett Till. They asked for the boy that was doing all the talking. They had guns and they had flashlights, and they walked them to the car and took off. And this is what happened.
4 days later, Emmett Till's body was found in the Tallahatchie River.
Body was so badly damaged that we couldn't hardly just tell who he was, but he happened to have on a ring with his initials, and that cleared it up.
They couldn't even tell who he was, but because he had a ring on with his initials, that's how they knew it was him when they found him. This is the evil that still exists today in this society. Y'all think this type of stuff don't happen anymore. This still happens. The only thing is nowadays they don't find nobody's bodies. Nowadays you don't find all of these missing women and these missing little girls and boys. You don't find them. There's no trace of them.
Body was shipped home, back north to Chicago, where Mamie Till Bradley insisted on an open casket funeral. So all the world can see, she said, what they did to my boy.
So his mother shipped the body home. She wanted the world to see what they had done to her son. You got women out here all out fainting and passing out from seeing the condition of Emmett Till. If you gonna tell me there ain't no generational trauma with black people, you out your goddamn mind. All of the evil things that have been done to us, to our people, all of the injustices, you out of your goddamn mind if you gonna tell me black people's condition or black people's behavior don't have nothing to do with how they've been treated throughout the centuries.
Jet magazine showed Till's corpse, beaten, mutilated, shot through the head.
You see that?
An entire generation of young.
Now, this is a disclaimer. Jet magazine showed this. This was public record. They wanted everybody to see what had happened to this 14-year-old boy at the hands of white supremacy.
Black people would remember the horror of that photo. Roy Bryant, husband of the woman
These are the devils that did it.
and J.W. Milam, her brother-in-law, were arrested for the murder of Emmett Till. The trial was held in nearby Sumner, Mississippi. Black organizations like the NAACP and the Black Press worked especially hard to keep the case in the news, to make an example of Southern racism for the world.
I had covered the courts in many areas of this country, but the Till case was unbelievable. I mean, I just didn't get the sense of being in a courtroom. It was...
Now look, he said he done been all over the nation covering you know, different cases, and he said this didn't even seem like they was in the courtroom. Now you can see it looks like it's one of those public gatherings. It looked like it's one of those you know, those picnics that they used, those family outings that they used to do, right, with all of these people in the courtroom.
This place is segregated.
It was segregated.
Sat at a bridge table far off from the court, and the boy's mother came down. They sat her there at the bridge table with us.
So first of all, it was segregated. They had the black press segregated, separated from the white press, and then they put Emmett Till's mom with the black press, segregated everybody. You already know that you ain't gonna get no fair trial when it's like that.
What do you intend to do here today?
To answer any questions that the attorneys might ask me to answer. To the
How
best.
do you think it could possibly be a help to them?
I don't know. Just by answering whatever questions that they ask me.
Do you have any evidence bearing on this case?
I do know that this is my son.
He asked her, does she have any evidence bearing on this case? And that's just so sad. She said, only thing she could say is she does know that that's her son. This place is so demonic. I'm gonna tell you, man, so demonic.
The defense argued that the body found tied to the cotton gin fan in the river was so disfigured that it could not be identified as Emmett Till.
So they try to get off. They try to say that you couldn't identify that as Emmett Till because his body was so disfigured. And this is the windmill. This is the thing they tied around his neck and threw him in that river right here.
The trial took 5 long, hot days. The prosecution's star witness was Till's uncle, Mose Wright, who testified despite threats to his life.
He was called upon to, could he see anybody in the courtroom, identify anybody in that courtroom that had come to his house that night and got the Emmett Till out. He stood up, and there was a tension in the courtroom. And he says, in his broken language, Dahi.
Darhe, there he is.
I really didn't realize how brave my grandfather Mose Wright was, you know. But after I got older, I realized that he was a brave man. He was a mighty brave man to travel back down there, you know, among all those hostile peoples and testify and get up in court and point his finger at a white man and accuse him of murder.
You see how he said how he didn't really think how brave, he realized how brave his grandfather was to sit up there and point at a white man and accuse him of murder, because it was taboo in those parts to say anything to a white man, because later on somebody come knocking on your door with a lynch mob.
As the trial ended, a defense lawyer told the jury he was, quote, sure every last Anglo-Saxon one of you has the courage to free these men.
Looked like it just smelled like bologna up in there.
To find the men not guilty.
It took them an hour to find them not guilty. Look, this is the, y'all can't see my cursor, but right at the bottom of the screen, right here, that's the one. That's Carolyn Bryant. You know, I gotta watch my language, but the ish that just passed away, that this whole thing was over. Right here at the bottom, next to this man.
Months later, for a fee of $4,000, Roy Bryant and J.W. Milam told their story to reporter William Bradford Huey.
So they got off, and they later on told the truth. They did do it for a fee of $4,000. This is America for you.
Milam was startled at the belligerent attitude or the fact that young Till didn't appear to be afraid of it. He'd gone and gotten him out of bed and had him in the back of the truck. And young Till never realized the danger he was in. I'm quite sure that he never thought these two men would kill him. And, or maybe he's just in such a strange environment, he just doesn't know what he's up against.
Let me just say this. With that shit sent a message. This is the message. A lot of times, well, not a lot of time, we as black people, we don't know who we're dealing with. When you get pulled over by the police, or you're in the area, or you got a whole bunch of friends that are non-blacks, you don't know the danger that you are actually in. And you're just at ease. Now, Emmett, he came from Chicago. He came from the big city. So he doesn't know the workings of the South and the racism that the South had, the hatred that the South had. So he didn't realize the danger that he was in. And they were shocked at how, you know, he was just, you know, cool. He was not afraid of them.
And it seems to a rational mind today, it seems impossible that they could have killed him. But Jeremy Milam looked at it.
He said it seems to a rational mind, it seems that they couldn't have killed him. Well, if you believe that they couldn't kill him, you're not rational. If that escapes your probability or your idea of what could happen, then you're not rational.
Me and said, well, when he told me about this white girl he had, he says, my friend, that's what this war is about down here now. He says, that's what we got to fight to protect. And he says, I just looked at him and I said, boy, you ain't going to never see the sun come up again.
Damn. So when Emmett Till told them that he had a white girlfriend, they said, well, that's what we got to fight to protect. And they looked at Emmett Till and said, boy, you ain't never going to see the sun again. That if you don't think there are people like that still today, you're not rational. You're not thinking. You don't know the danger you're in.
I believe that the whole United States is mourning with me. And if the death of my son can mean something to the other unfortunate people all over the world, then for him to have died a hero would mean more to me than for him just to have died.
The fact that Emmett Till, a young black man, could be found floating down the river in Mississippi, as indeed many had been done over the years, just set in concrete the determination of people to move forward.
Now, that is an excerpt from The Eyes on the Prize, the real reality of what happened with Emmett Till. I have not watched the Emmett Till movie. I'm not really interested in it. Once you see real history and you get the raw footage, the real interviews from the people who are really there, it doesn't hit as hard. You know, when it comes to these movies, they don't hit as hard as the real thing. So let me know what you think about this excerpt, this video. Thank you for watching and hanging with me. And with that, this is Black Authentic Truth.